goodness.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am excited today to interview one of Cornerstone's missionaries.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop. My eyes are watering.
We're rolling with it
So
now.
all over. No.
This is one of our missionaries, Ian Richards. His eyes are
Oh,
already
goodness.
watering and haven't even started yet, guys.
Oh, man.
So we have the pleasure of having Ian with us. Not only does Cornerstone support him and his family, Ian and I basically grew up together since seventh grade. So Ian was one of the first friends I made when I moved back to America after my dad was stationed in Arizona from Korea. So Ian, why don't you have a funny story about it? Tell us, tell us about your family, and then you can tell us what it was like when we first met.
Okay. Well, hey, let me hit that first because you already opened with that. So
Okay.
I still remember at our church, we had a smaller church, but I mean, when you're a kid, you don't know that. It felt big to us, even though it was like 100 people or less, 80 to 100. But I still remember we had this classroom at the very front of the auditorium, and it was tiny, but there's like stairs that people were sitting on and then chairs and stuff. I still remember this one day, this nerdy looking small little Asian dude walks into our class, and his dad's like, "Go on in, little buddy." And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this guy is a nerd. And his name was Dan Woodcock. And then actually what's funny is that the next Saturday we had a teen outing thing, and man, Dan was such a nerd. And then and we were trying to ditch him the whole time. And then I was too nice. It was me and my friend Sean, and Sean was like, "Dude, let's ditch him." And I was like, "Man, that's mean. So we should not do that." And I'm glad we didn't, because it turns out actually Sean and I aren't even friends, and Dan has been my best friend pretty much since probably, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month after that. So
Yeah.
maybe it's because I'm a nerd too. I don't know. Are we just two big nerds, Dan? Is that what
Maybe.
it is?
I guess maybe it takes one to know one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But
So
then my family,
yeah.
so I'm married now for, I'm on the spot, 2011, 9 years this year. So 9 years in July. And we have three beautiful little girls. Lily is 6, Adeline is 4, and Emmy actually turns 2 this Friday, which is actually 2 days ago now that you guys are watching. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So I think it is really amazing to have really just two guys. We're from Sierra Vista, Arizona. No one's even heard of it. It's like south of Tucson, Arizona. Probably no one's even heard of that. It's south of Phoenix, like 3.5 hours. And God sends us to Bible college in Springfield, Missouri. And you fast forward the tape. God brought me to Alabama. I've been here for like 12 years of my life, 13 years. And now God is called you and your family to be missionaries to Australia. Like, what was that like? Like, how does someone, like, I've talked about it before, like, I felt like God was calling me to be a pastor, and I felt like, I was going to do student ministry, and I did all that. But, like, how does someone go, I think I'm going to be a missionary? And I think I'm going to, of all places, I think I would choose Australia, right? But how does, you didn't just come up with that. Like, how did that process work? What does it look like?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I feel like my story is a story of disobedience over and over and over again, and really a story of God's sovereignty, because and just his what's the word I'm looking for? It's not sovereignty, but it starts with a P. It's the same kind of providence, God's providence, that that I ended up where I am, because I never actually didn't really want to go to Bible college. And I remember waking up one night and going out and telling my dad, "I don't want to do this." And I said, "I'd rather just stay here in Arizona and do something with computers or something like that and get a good paying job." But I remember, because I had you and then my friend Will, and we had all said we were going to go to Bible college. And I had told you guys already, I'm going to go with you. And so I felt like, man, I need to do that. I need to go because these are my best friends. So it's actually kind of funny because I remember another funny story about that is that when we first got to Bible college, which I just kind of went because you were going, and I followed you. And I remember the day that my dad dropped me off, and your dad had already left. And I remember they turned the corner, and I couldn't see the truck anymore, and I almost started crying. Like, I'm on my own. Oh no, this is horrible. And I turn around and here Dan Woodcock has a camera and he's taking pictures and he's like, dude, we're all alone. This is going to be so fun. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to make it. This is going to happen. This is going to work out. But, from then I was majoring in business at Bible college. I don't know who does that, but that's what I was doing. And I mean, it was probably 8 years before I felt God calling me to be a missionary to Australia. And we just had a guy come to our church that shared Australia, and I'm not really good at learning new languages. And I was like, ooh, they speak English. And I was like, God, I could do that. And so I started thinking, praying about what would it look like if I did that. I met my wife and told her, hey, I'm pursuing Australia. And she, met some missionaries to Australia, fell in love with the idea of going. And, for me, it had been my idea the whole time, or not my idea, but it had been what I was pursuing the whole time. But then when my fiance at the time, fell in love with it too, it was kind of confirmation for me. That's where God had us to go. And then, we spent 2 years there, and now we're working our way back. And so, that's just where we want to be, and we love the people. We get along well with them. And I just can't wait to get back and be able to preach and do ministry there.
Do you say Australia, or you're saying like Australia, and I'm saying like, I'm like American, like Australia.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
We say Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
All right, so that sounds more legit.
They'll teach you to just say Australia.
Australia.
Australia, which it's not right. They say Australia, but
if you just
Australia,
say it that way, it sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a missionary from Australia, and he shows up to your church, and you're like, hey, that did something like resonate in your heart, or what was it about that country in particular that was like, I feel, obviously we're talking about language, but like, what was it that you're like, wow, like, I feel like I should go there too?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, probably what resonated with me most from him was that Australia.
You see that bug attack me? Did you see that?
This is live. This is what we do. This is Zoom calls.
That bug attacked me. All right, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's another good story about Dan and insects, right?
We'll let you tell it later. We'll let you get into that one later.
Yeah. No, but I think what resonated with me with him was just the fact that Australia was so unchurched and so lost. I think our stats that we've been sharing, are that 2% of Australians are believers in Jesus.
Wow.
And so there might be some church people, but definitely not evangelical people. And I think about 6% claim to like church, but about 2% of those are evangelical Christians. And then, that's a low number. I mean, you don't, that number is lower than what you'd find in probably like New York City,
Wow.
And so to think that there's so many people that speak the same language I do, that don't know Jesus, and there's really nothing holding me back from reaching them other than some cultural barriers and a plane ride. That's kind of what made me start pursuing it. And then God just began opening doors, and yeah.
That's funny. Well, I think obviously our friendship has withstood a lot. We're seeing God, continue to just work and grow in us, despite the fact that you are a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
Being a Denver fan. For people that don't know, they're watching like, what's the big deal? That's like, for my people in here in Alabama, that's like, Alabama and Auburn. All right. There is that, or maybe you can say Alabama, LSU, or Auburn, LSU. There's that kind of thing. So, that just shows you how much we love each other.
Yeah, I know. And I live in Missouri. And I have to put up with Chiefs fans. And then not only that, I have to put up with Super Bowl winning Chiefs fans. So, and I just want to point something out real quick. since I've known you, Dan, your team has won 3 championships. 3.
That's
And
true.
then you moved to Alabama. I mean, and they're just winning national championships like crazy. So, man, I just can't. I don't know. I don't know what it is about me, but I don't root for winners apparently. So,
Man, that's awesome. Well, let's do this. Is there so for people like our church, like we partner with you now?
mhm.
What
Thank
is
you,
the
by the
thing that
way. I really appreciate that. The financial support has really put us over the top as far as our fundraising goals and things like that are concerned, to make it so that we can actually get back and, you know, um, and survive, because without people that are giving, we can't do what we do. And so I just want to say thank you to your church for giving sacrificially and supporting our family financially. That really means a lot to us.
I think it's really exciting to see, how I think for myself, like, because, the majority of the people, they don't see like what we've seen and what we've experienced, just to see like these 2 little boys who didn't really know what they were doing, who honestly were crazy. The fact that like God has called us into ministry and is using us as like a missionary, using us as a pastor, it's like, if God can do it to us, he can do it to anybody.
Yeah.
And so to like see you just faithfully like pursue God and like fundraising, like for people who have never had to raise money at all, or maybe you've had to raise money, like it's a whole nother thing when your whole livelihood is dependent on churches and individuals giving their personal money to you, is really difficult.
Mm.
So like obviously you're praying for your visas, we're praying for all this stuff. So what's something that maybe we can pray for you about? What's a way that someone maybe can partner with you better, or maybe give us some of that stuff?
Yeah. Well, like you said, we were just a couple of punk kids that didn't know anything. And to be honest with you, I don't know that anything's different on my part. I'm going into this season of there's a new step ahead of me, and obviously you've taken those steps already. And I think thankfully I have a resource and a best friend that I can call and say, hey, dude, what's this situation's coming up? But really, I need wisdom like crazy to know just how to interact with people and how to lead people well. But also that I would stay faithful to not only just like in general terms, but to God's word, to, my family, to our church, because those are that really spiritually, I think winning the spiritual battle is probably the most important thing that we're facing right now. In, I mean, because like obviously when you're about to do something for the Lord, the devil is sure not happy with it. And so, but yeah, if we can win the war of the spiritual and everything else would just stay the same, that would be great. But yeah, so pray for us spiritually, pray obviously for our visas, and pray for our church people, pray for the Australian people and our church people. I think, and Cornerstone would know this well, especially the people that have been there for a long time. Change is never easy. And like you went into this church that needed some change, and they realized that, and they stood up and they changed, and the same is going to be required of us. And so pray for the people of the church, that there's certain things that need to change, and there's change coming. And so pray for me to lead them well, and pray for them that they would be open and receptive to change that needs to happen there.
I think it's only fitting to end it like this. When you think of Australia, whatever it is, the animals and the wildlife and the bugs would freak anyone out. I've seen you post videos of like, I don't know, 7-foot tall bats or whatever, like hanging in trees. And I've seen some of the spiders in Australia. And I'm just telling you, like, you have, it's not like everything is just the beach and Great Barrier Reef in Sydney, Australia. I mean, it's completely different. And it's really exciting to see what happens. And I got to say, man, you got to be right. You got to be careful even in your own house.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the day you come over, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to save some spiders. I'm going to have like a pet, and I'll just save it for you.
I'm,
That's another story we could tell about our friendship and how it's endured trying times, right? You've been
that's true.
gracious and patient, Dan.
Oh man. Hey, well, Ian, thank you so much for just taking time to chat with us. And, we're looking forward to seeing what God does and can't wait when you're there getting to do the work. I know God is going to bless. So love you, man.
All right, love you too. Thank you, Cornerstone, again for everything you guys do, and we love you. And I just want you to know too, we're praying for you guys, and we love you. And so we thank you so much for all that you guys do for us.
Thanks, bro.